Hello, 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 everyone. Happy New Year to you all. I hope that this is going to be one of your best years yet. I have planned to make that the case for me. So I hope that is the same for you. And that's quite frankly what I hope for all of you. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the African Women Mobilization Commission, AMC, as we fondly call it. Women Empowerment Workshop Series. I'm your presenter today, Dr. Uwa Onyioha Osimiri. I'm the president of Awmc. I'm also an African spiritual life coach and therapist or OKDBA. I'm an MBA college professor and an author. I do so many things. Just recently I celebrated my 43 years anniversary. Can you imagine that? Same guy for 43 years. Isn't that awesome? That means I can tell you a little bit about marriage, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Thank you, thank you. And of course, I'm a proud mother of 3 grown children, 2 daughters and a son, and I'm a grandmother of 2 wonderful grandsons. I couldn't be prouder of them. And I tell you very honestly, the only thing that can challenge me is the mystery of a box of chocolate chip cookies. You never know what you are going to get. Not chocolate chip cookies, chocolates. You never know what's in that box. You never know what you're going to get. So I delve in, and that is my vice, I must admit. But anyway, before we get started, before we go any further, let me just say I have an exciting guest with me today. We're going to just have a wonderful time. You will be so impressed with a young woman that I have that's going to be one of my speakers today, my guest today. And I dare say she is my niece, and I'm so very proud of her. But before we get into the discussion today, which is to step into your power. What does it mean to step into your power? We're going to talk about it. I'm going to start by discussing it with you, and then she's going to round it up for you. She is the epitome of what it means to step into your power. But before we do anything, let me tell you a little bit about the African Women Mobilization Commission. What we wish to do is to take proactive action for change in the lives of women and children. As a matter of fact, the acronym for our program is IMPACT, M-P-A-C-T, IMPACT. And we are a registered 501c3 organization here in the United States, as well as in Nigeria. Our goal is certainly to go beyond the boundaries of the United States and Nigeria and go global. We want to make a difference wherever we can in the lives of women and children. The M in IMPACT stands for mobilization. Our goal is to go beyond those boundaries and mobilize up to 10,000 women. Can it be done? Yes. You step into your power and you believe that you can do anything is possible. Can't let anything hold you back. It's all in your mind. Think it and make it happen. So that will give us a significant number of membership so that we can participate in the United Nations activities for women globally. Yay, particularly in Africa. And here, certainly in the African American communities in the United States. And other places where African people are found. But also we include we're open. Everybody is welcome to come and participate in what we do. The P is for philanthropy. We have 4 camps in Maiduguri, Nigeria. Maiduguri is in the northern part of Nigeria. And we have a program there for the internally displaced. They're called the IDPS camps. These are individuals who have been displaced because of terrorism. By Boko Haram and all the other terrorist activities. So what we try to do is to feed them. We try to feed them and provide them with the opportunity that, as to the best of our ability. And we're still trying to raise funds to do that. We've done it. We did it last year, and it was very, very successful. So we intend to keep doing it. And one aspect of it that I really love is the child sponsorship program, where we are sponsoring 100 children. And hey, you have the opportunity to do the same thing. We have children that are picked up by families or individual persons, and we help them have the opportunity to attend school and provide them with clothing and help support their families. You'll be amazed at how many children are in such needs, not just in Nigeria, certainly all over. And also advocacy. We advocate for women by putting together endeavors that help to provide healthcare for them. We're putting together virtual doctors as resources for people with diabetes, kidney disease, hypertension, HIV/AIDS, etc. Who will provide them the necessary information they need and advice to direct them to the right kind of medical care. Isn't that wonderful? And then C is for culture. We host cultural activities because we really feel that it's important that the children understand their culture. Our children need to be empowered to know that their culture is powerful, and that makes them powerful people. So we really, really promote culture. Also, A is for training. We're so excited that we're participating in the Google Scholarship Program, providing about 500 scholarships to women. Can you imagine 500 women engineers? That is amazing. That would be amazing. And also some gentlemen are part of it. We're doing so in partnership with Pop Solutions, and hopefully within 6 months, these individuals will become IT engineers. We've had so many registrations, so many participants, so many people are aspiring to become engineers. So we're so excited to be able to do that for them. We also provide training in grant writing, in financial literacy, and personal development, of which this workshop, Stepping into Your Power, is one of our special workshops. And if you want to know a little bit more what we do, please visit us at awmc.global, which is www.awmc.global. I'm going to flash it across the screen in a little while. So the topic of today is the secret of stepping into your power. Stepping into your power. Like I said, I'm going to do a little touch up on some aspects of what you need to know, and then I'll bring to you my special guest who's going to, really speak to you about what it means, what she has experienced, and how she got where she is, and how you too can aspire to achieve as high and go as high as you want to go. But to me, stepping into your power is to know that it is all in your mind. Your power is in your mind. What your mind perceives, what your mind accepts, can be made into reality. It is not about what somebody said, he said, she said, they said. It does not matter. It is about what your mind tells you. But you've got to allow your mind to talk to you. You've got to allow your mind to talk to you. Many of us do not understand that there is nothing that we want that doesn't already exist. Nothing. Everything we want already exists. Most of us base our knowledge, our understanding of being powerful on what we aspire in the future. But we're already powerful right now. You see, this is what makes the journey easier, when you know that you already got what it takes. As a matter of fact, if you're trying to climb the steps, you must take the first step. So that's where you are. If you are the first foot of the step, that's where you are. That's where your power begins. You're not in the valley by taking the first step. That is where the step begins. You already have what it takes to become outstanding. You have the foundation for greatness. Let me say it again. There's nothing that you want that you do not already have. Believe that, so that you can take that necessary step. Believe that. Greatness starts where you are, not where you're going to be tomorrow, but where you are today. Everything else in addition to where you are today is just what we say in Igbo language, jara, just an addition to where you already are, because you already have what you need to get started. So what is it that you must have? The mentality to accept your condition, not as the destination, but as the journey. And every twist and turn in this journey simply represents the stepping stone towards your greatness. Is it good? Is it bad? It doesn't matter. It's all a lesson that you're learning. It's all part of the journey. And we all have to get into the habit, when something bad happens to us, you don't get depressed. Just say, what is the lesson in this? What can I take from it? Something really unnerving happened to me recently, and I could have just lost it. I said, okay, wait a minute. What's the lesson here? Because it's a lesson. There's a lesson in everything, good, bad, or indifferent. There's always a lesson. So to step into your power, Embrace all the twists and turns, because that is your foundation. But you have to know it's a mind thing. It's a mind thing. If you believe that you've got what you need, it takes to move forward, you will. If you don't think you've got it, you stagnate. So I'm telling you today, get started. Get started. Today, I get a piece of paper, if that's what you have. If you have a journal, just write it down. If you haven't started, this is 2023. Ask yourself, what is it? What is my journey? Where do I want to go? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to do? How do I make it happen? Don't worry about all those things that went wrong. This, like I said earlier, that's part of the journey. Remember, your mind is a terrible thing to waste. If you waste it by not using it, you will stay in the valley. For you to climb, use your mind. You may not be where you want to be today, but as long as you have breath, as long as you have determination, as long as your vocabulary does not include I can't. Because for those of you who don't know it, or I suppose you already know it, I can't is a very debilitating word. Strike it from your vocabulary. Use it only when it's necessary, but don't make it a part of your existence every day. Try not to use it unless you had to. That is the foundation that you need. Go beyond where you are today, you must have the mentality to believe that you can do it. Even some of the associations that you come across, even some people who come into your life may actually be the stepping stone that will help you rise. So you got to pay attention to who you have. Pay attention. Never surround yourself with negative people. Let me tell you, that is a no-brainer, because they'll take you down. Misery loves company. But I always say, misery does not need my company. It doesn't need your company. Misery can stay with the people who enjoy it, but not you. Pay attention to who you have around you. You will be amazed that some people would really, they may not be as powerful as you are. They may not have anything. They may just be poor people. They may be just simple people, but they may have some good things that they can share with you. See, divine mind, I don't know what you call God. Some of us call God Chineke, Allah, Uludumari, whatever you call God. I'll just say divine mind. Divine mind has ordained you for greatness and has a way of putting even just a simple, ordinary people in your path to make it possible for you to rise. Never look down on the advice that you can get from anybody. I'm reminded of the story of the blind retired basketball player. He was known as Mr. Stilts because he was so very tall. But because of glaucoma, Mr. Stilts lost his eyesight. But he still had that love for basketball. So he would go to the court where the young people are playing, and he will sit there and listen to them play. He'll listen to their chatter, and they will play, and after a while, they will all go home. But one little young man would not go home. He always stayed behind and played and played. His name was Book. Book, B-O-O-K. Book loved to read. As much as he loved basketball as a hobby, he loved to read. And because he loved to read, everything that was not nailed down on the nailed to the wall, they called him Book. Book would stay there and play, and Mr. Stilts would sit there and listen to him play. And one day he called him and he said, "Come here and sit next to me. I noticed that you're playing a certain way, but I'm going to tell you there's a different way to play it." Book looked at him and thought, what would a blind man share with me? What would he teach me? Well, Mr. Stilts told him, "I used to be a great basketball player. So don't let my eyesight fool you. I can give you tips that will help you, not just on the court, but it will also help you in what you're doing in school. How good are you in school?" He says, "I'm a good student." He says, "Well, listen closely to what I tell you every day. Some of the moves that you have to make on the court, you can also make it in life. If you miss the ball, don't give up. If you miss the ball, pick it up and try again." And that's what you're going to find in your journey as a young person. You're going to find all those moments that you're going to mess up, but don't give up. Don't give up because it gets tough. We all tend to do that. So the young man said, "Well, cool." So he will listen to him. He started listening and listening and listening, and he found himself getting better, not just in school, but getting better in his sports, in the court. And he was outplaying the other kids. One day, unfortunately, Mr. Stills never returned. Book used to come and sit and wait around for him, and he never came back because Mr. Stills had died. But Book remembered everything he had learned from him. If you shoot the ball and it doesn't go in, don't give up. Pick it up again and keep trying until you get it, and you get good at it. And that's what you do in life. All of us. When things go wrong, there are so many people. Look in your backstory. You will find grandma, grandpa, somebody who has given you a good advice. You may not have paid attention at that time, but think about it. When you're having some challenges, think about somebody who told you something and you learned from it. So it's important that you know that although you may have some challenges in life, do not let that keep you from moving further in life. As Mr. Tills has said, it is not the act, but the art of your act that elevates you. When you perfect your art, your actions now become remarkable. Hear what I'm saying to you. It is not the fact that you're doing something that matters. It's your perfection of whatever it is you're doing. Don't look down on your art. Don't look down on what you're doing, because when you perfect your art, then your actions become remarkable. That's nothing that you want that you don't already have. That's something I want you to remember. There's nothing. Look at yourself right now and just repeat. I may not hear you, but I want you to repeat it to yourself. There is nothing that you want that you don't already have, because it's a matter of perfecting your art so that your actions will become remarkable. Oh, let me say just a little bit about Book. Book did graduate with honors from college with a 4 points average and went on to become a remarkable and successful businessman. It wasn't a rich man that taught him what he learned. It was a blind man at the basketball court. So you never know who you're going to meet to remind you of your greatness, to remind you to perfect your art. The next thing that you must do when you step into your power is for you to be reminded. Remind yourself, because most people will not do that for you. But you have to remind yourself that there's nothing that you need that you don't already know. There's nothing that you need to know that you don't already know. Okay? Sometimes if we don't apply ourselves, we think we don't know. But sometimes situations present themselves and you say, I can fix that. I know. Because yesterday, I was able to manage this. However you managed it yesterday, you may be able to manage it today even better, because you learned yesterday how to do it or how not to do something. And here you are today, presented by the same challenge. Only this time, you can fix it. You already know. I'm reminded of the little boy who had a broken toy. And he went to his grandfather to ask his grandfather to teach him how to fix the toy for him. The grandfather looked at it and threw it in the garbage, threw the toy in the garbage. And the little boy was very upset. Why would you do that? Why would you throw my toys away? The grandfather said, well, it's broken. You just brought it to me. You showed me that it's broken. But the little boy said, yeah, but I want you to fix it for me. He says, well, I can't fix it for you. You fix it yourself. If you can't fix it, you can throw it in the garbage. It's already broken anyway. So he threw it back in the garbage. But the young man picked it up and looked at it and looked at his grandfather, realizing that grandpa is not going to fix this for me. So what did he do? He chose then to fix it himself. So he tried however he could, and he managed to fix it. And after he fixed it, oh my God, he was so excited. And he took it to his grandfather. He told his grandfather, look, I fixed it. I fixed it. And the grandfather said, well, of course you did. I knew you had it in you. It's the same thing with each one of us. Sometimes we look for others to fix it for us. Whereas we already know how to do it. We already have what it takes to fix those little things, those little annoying things that happen. We can fix it. But if we continue to allow other people to fix our messes, we will never know how to fix it ourselves. So it's so important, so very important, that you learn something from this lesson. The young man learned a lesson. All you have to do is reach within yourself and find out how to fix some of these things. You may not be perfect at doing it, but at least take a chance. Step into your power and do it yourself. You can do it if you want to. The past is a good way to learn. So what's in your past? What's in your past that you can, you have in your repertoire that you can reach back and see how you fixed it in the past? Can you fix it again? The worst thing you can do is to let other people do it for you. Step into your power and do so confidently. Even if you fail, even if you don't do it very well, step in there. Yes, you can. Barack Obama became the president of the United States when people thought he couldn't do it. But an old lady told him, yes, you can. He went and saw that. He traveled a long distance to find that little old lady, in the outskirts of town. And the lady said, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Barack Obama, there were a few people in there, but the few who were there were chanting. The lady was chanting, yes, we can. And he joined in that. And as you all know, the rest is history. Yes, we can became the slogan for the Barack Obama campaign. So what you believe and you put in your mind, what you understand to be a problem is only a problem because you haven't tried to fix it. Anything can be fixed. Every problem has a solution. There's nothing that you need to know that you don't already know. When things go wrong, you already can fix it. But are you willing to fix it? That's the thing. Are you willing to fix it? So you have to be in the habit of reaching back. Reach back into your repertoire. Reach back and find out, how did I fix this last time? What did I do last time that made it work? May not have been perfect, but right now you can perfect it. Just take a little bit of that, add it to the problem you have now and see, okay, how can I fix it? How can I fix it? As a matter of fact, I recommend that you get a piece of paper and write all the problems you had in the past. And then ask yourself, how did you fix all those problems? If you had let somebody fix it for you, maybe you wouldn't be able to fix it. Maybe you need somebody else to fix it. But that is not a good thing to do. Because once you depend on people to fix it, you're not going to be able to fix anything. So go back, check it out. What did I do last time? How did I fix it? And you will be amazed that you can fix so much. So to step into your power, you also need to know that there's nothing that you want that does not already exist. Everything you want exists. Who wants something that doesn't exist? Everything that you want already exists. If you want to be a scientist, well, scientists already exist. If you want to be a teacher, teachers already exist. If you want to do anything, for the most part, they already exist. Of course, if they don't exist, then it will be great if you can figure out how to create something that you want. But for the most part, everything that we want, most things that we want already exist. With this knowledge and that fact, there are other people, you have to just find out, how did other people achieve their goals and dreams? How did they do it? Some of those goals and dreams they have may be yours. So you have to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to go out. You have to read, study, go meet some people. Some of us are comfortable staying by ourselves. That's a good thing, I think the COVID pandemic sort of convinced some of us that the best way to live now is to hide from humanity. You don't do that. Yeah, protect yourself to the best of your ability. But at some point, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You cannot shrink into greatness. You've got to meet people. You've got to find out how they're doing it and take notes. Take notes. It may be irritating to some people. Just let them know, I'm taking notes. How did you do this? I want to know how you did it. And then you go home and you check out how other people did it and see, can you use it? If you can't use it, let it go. But if you can use it, do so. So that's to say that everything that you want already exists. You just need to step out and go after it with all of your capacity. Let me tell you something. When I was a little girl, I loved to sing. Well, at least to me, I thought I could sing. I don't know if everybody thought that way, but I certainly did. I love to sing. I love to sing Miriam Makeba songs. And there was a show called the Turtle Club, Turtles Club. And I would watch it, and I would watch it intensely every time it came. It came on at 6 p.m. every day. And I would sit in front there and just watch all these children perform. And I just dreamed of the day that I would someday get up there and sing. And whether I knew how to sing or not, to me, I had convinced myself that I was a better singer than all those other kids. And I was sing. My mother loved Miriam Makeba, and when she played Makeba's songs, I would try and emulate it and sing it. And one day I did tell my mother I would really like to go and be a part of the Turtles Club. And she looked at me and she said, okay, well, sounds like a winner to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. My mom wasn't the one really at that time to tell you what you couldn't do. He believed you could if you wanted to. So she asked me, what kind of song do you want to sing? I told her I wanted to sing Miriam Makeba songs. You know, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Miriam Makeba. Zenzile Miriam Makeba, she was nicknamed Mama Africa. She was a South African singer, songwriter, an actress, and civil rights activist. I loved her songs, and she was an awesome singer. For those of you who know Miriam Makeba, she enriched your lives as she enriched mine. And as a matter of fact, if you go to YouTube, just type in Miriam Makeba, her music are just absolutely fantastic. So when I told my mother I wanted to do that, and she asked me what I wanted to sing, I said Miriam Makeba. And I was surprised when she said, okay, we're going to be on the Turtles Club. I was a nervous wreck, but I knew how to sing Makeba's song. I didn't quite know what it was saying. I didn't speak Xhosa because she sang in Xhosa, South African language. So, but I wanted to sing it, you know. So when I got there, much to my surprise, Mary Umelu, who is she was the host of the show, she was impressed by my singing. And of course, some of my siblings joined me, and we sang and we became quite popular. And so I got very popular in that on that program. And can you imagine, I used to really love going to school because everybody saw me on television and they started calling me Little Miss Makeba. I had the opportunity eventually to go to Lagos, thanks to my father and my mother, and meet my Shiro, Miriam Makeba, who has since transitioned. She transitioned November 2008. So everything that you want already exists. You just have to have the courage to go out to get it. Whatever it is that you ever wanted to be when you were a child, you can still be it now. It doesn't have to start when you were a child. It can start just right now. It can start in 5 minutes. It can start anytime. It's never too late to live your dreams. There's nothing that you want that does not already exist. You just have to have the courage to go out and get it. The next step in your power, stepping into your power, is for you to understand that there is nothing that does exist in this world that's too good for you. Let me say that again, because that's where we all get it twisted and get confused. There's nothing that exists in this world that is too good for you. Sometimes we look at rich people and we think, oh my God, well, they're blessed more than we are. No, not really. It's just however they, whatever emphasis they put on learning, whatever it is they had to do to get to where they are. Not because they were blessed more than you are. Well, I will have to admit, in some cases, perhaps family, wealth certainly plays a role sometimes. But some people just go and get wealthy, not because family had anything to do with it, but because the bottom line is that there is nothing that exists in this world that's too good for you. Okay? When we assume that we don't have the capacity to go beyond where we are, that's where we make a mistake. You have the capacity to do and get whatever. As I indicated, it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. You got to open that mind. Some of us just have that mind. It's so thick, we just close it because somebody has closed it for us. And as long as somebody has closed it, we don't know how to open it. But you've got to open it because it's up to you. It's up to you. It's not up to anyone. My best friend, I'm going to tell you, is the mirror. I don't know about you, but my best friend is the mirror. Because guess who's in the mirror? Me. I think the world of myself. You know why? Because I must. And so should you. I think the world of myself. Because if nobody is going to to validate me, I must validate myself. It doesn't mean I'm vain. It just means I have common sense. It just means I understand that the most powerful tool in the minds of an oppressor is the mind. And so I want mine free. I want mine secure. I don't want anybody to own my mind. If I own it, I can do and be all that I want. I may never become a billionaire. That's okay. That's of no interest to me. Not if you say, if you give me $1 billion, I'll accept it. But that is not my goal. My goal is, quite frankly, to be happy and do those things that I must do to build myself up as high as I possibly can go. But I don't believe that I can't. I don't believe that I can't. Divine mind has put everything here for our good, and you must believe it. You know, there's a song that we used to sing when we were children, and it goes something like, well, I'm not going to sing the song, but I'll tell you what it's about. It says, to look up and look down, look to the right and look to the left. Everything that you see in this world, they receive all of God's blessings equally. Air is free. There's water everywhere, unless you want specialty water, but there's water. Yes, I grant you there are some individuals based on climate change and drought and what have you, they may not have access to water. But when it's available, it's free for everyone. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you meet someone and they're beautiful and you're not as beautiful. It doesn't matter if they are tall and you're short, or you're short, they are tall, or they're fat, you're thin. It doesn't matter. We all, in whatever condition we are, we still receive God's blessings in equal amount. So don't deprive yourself of that. Don't deprive yourself of that. Know that you have the same right as everybody else to enjoy this thing called life. This universe belongs to you. It doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter your social status. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. When it comes to the natural things of the day, the natural things in the universe, you have the right to it. And you must believe that. So to step into it, finally, I like to say what Arthur Baldwin, an American writer, he garnered acclaim for his work across several mediums. He wrote essays and novels and poems and plays. I think most of you know Arthur Baldwin. If you don't, you need to go to YouTube and see some of his videos. He's just an outstanding person. So your mind has to convince you that you have a place in this world. And like he said, your crown has been bought and paid for. All you have to do is bend down, pick it up and put it on your head. But that is, again, a mind game. Do I really believe that? You must, because if you don't, nobody's going to do that. Well, perhaps some people who love you will tell you that, but you have to really be prepared and willing to say that to yourself. Finally, to step into your power, you need to know that there is nothing anyone has that you cannot have. There is absolutely nothing that is more powerful than you. There's nothing more sacred than you. You're a sacred being. You're unique. You're different. You may not be where someone else is, but you still have power within. Step into your power. Come out of your shell. Know that you are sacred, because there's nobody. Think about that. If nobody else is like you, unless you have an identical twin, that means that you're sacred. There is absolutely nothing more powerful than you. To be sacred means is power. But do you know that? Do you know that there's nobody more intelligent than you? Do you know that? When you can get yourself out of messes, you're intelligent. When you can step up, go up the stairs, do what you have to do, go places, go to work, do whatever. That's power. You're a powerful human, and just being unique individual, you're sacred. But sometimes we don't know that. Always, like I said, look in the mirror and see that sacred being. See that powerful human being looking back at you. You are what life is all about. You are the essence of life. You are divine because you were chosen at this time, right now, at this moment, to be inhaling and exhaling. My brothers and sisters, what I hope that you get from my little workshop today, is the understanding that there's nobody at any time that is better than you. I say this because I have one of the students that's want to get the IT scholarship was saying that they really thought that they couldn't do it. They don't think they can do it. They want it so badly, but can't do it. So I asked her, well, why can't you do it? Well, I'm not smart. Well, who told you you're not smart? Well, everybody says I'm not smart. I said, did you get up this morning? Yes, ma'am. Did you feed yourself this morning? Yes, ma'am. Did you dress yourself this morning? Yes, ma'am. So why are you not smart? Everything that you do for yourself to bring you up in every way makes you smart. If you're able to do all of that on your own and nobody did it for you, you are smart. And you can be smart too. You can learn this. They're going to teach you how to do this. Don't give up on yourself because some people, you notice some people, maybe they have some skills that you think you don't have. You'll be amazed at what you have. You'll be amazed at what you can achieve. You were born into this world, ladies and gentlemen, to inherit the empire. This world belongs to you. Are you ready to claim it? Step into your power. Be prepared to manage anything because you can. Because you can. Live by grace. Live by grace, built by love. Anybody look down on you, just remember, love brought you into this world. Many spirits are looking for one body, but here you are, and you think you're not good enough. Do you know what it took to make you? You need to celebrate you. When you hear your name, you need to just jump and say, that's me. Yes, because you should. You are imaginative. What else can possibly keep you from stepping into your power? I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, when you open that door today, I want you to know that you are stepping into your power. Step in. It doesn't matter what people think. They don't matter. They don't. It is not their opinion that matters. It is your opinion, your validation. Yes, it's good for people to validate us to some degree, but we shouldn't depend on their validation to be all that we can be. We can approach people to help us rise, but don't stay back because they refuse. My father always told me, when somebody says no to you, you turn it around and say, it's on. That's right. You know, not everybody's going to say no to you. Out of 1,000 people, I guarantee you that a few of them will say yes to you. So you just say next and you keep it moving. All right, we are going to take a quick break to introduce you to our doll project as part of our child sponsorship project. If you have any black dolls that you have that you can share for a little child who needs it, because I'm going to tell you, the IDPS camp that we provide feeding, and some of the children that we sponsor. Some of these kids have never seen a toy. I mean, not even a single toy. They have to create it. And there's nothing wrong with the ability to create it. Some of these kids have never seen a doll, some of these little girls. And so I want you to see a video about this little girl that finally got a doll, and her reaction and the reaction of the other little girl who had the opportunity to have the doll, to put the doll. And then as soon as I come back, I'm going to introduce to you this powerhouse known as Amani Wells Onyioha. You do not wish to miss listening to this powerhouse. And until then, let's take the quick break and watch of this young girl. I'm so excited for her. Please, if you have any toys that you want to share, black dolls, we are looking for it. We need it. And here she is.
You are my honey bun, sugar plum, pumpy umby umpkin. You're my sweetie pie. You're my cupcake gumdrop, snickums, spickums. You're the apple of my eye. And I love you so, and I want you to know that I'll always be right here. And I love to sing 3 songs to you because you are so dear. Stille og si hei, alle insekter, alle små dyr. Dere som kryper og klarer til og klyr. Jeg er menneske, og jeg er snill. Vær i magen så lenge du vil.
Again, you can go to www.awmc.global, where you can please learn a little bit more about our doll program. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me so much pleasure to introduce our next speaker, my wonderful, wonderful niece, Amani Wells Onyioha. Amani Wells Onyioha is a political expert, civil rights advocate, and thought leader. Born and raised in Dallas, Texas, Amani found her passion for politics during her time at the University of North Texas. After completing her master's in journalism, Amani worked for the Democratic Party in Dallas, a Texas state representative race, Dallas district attorney races, and for the coordinated campaign of Texas Democrats, including Beto O'Rourke's race. After the murder of Trayvon Martin, Amani understood stopping something like that from happening again would require systemic and institutional change. So she committed herself to making an impact on her local and national communities. Now, working with Soul Strategies as their operations director, she is the engine behind progressive candidates who are seeking to uplift underrepresented communities and change the system. She's represented clients like Ahmaud Arbery's family, lawyer attorney Lee Merritt, mayoral candidate India Walton, city councilman Daniel Calino, and city councilwoman Lauren Ryder, among others. Recently, she's appeared on Fox Soul, Diamond and Silk's Chit Chat, and NDT News, and has been featured in Forbes magazine, Insider, PR News, Washington Informer, Super Creator, and much more. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my honor to present. And did I tell you earlier that she's my niece? I think I did. If I didn't, I'm reminded again. She is my niece, and it is my honor and pleasure to bring her in. Hello, my darling. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, my goodness. Stepping into your power, which is what. Who is that person? Who's that? Who do you have there?
This is my cat, Salem. He is going to scream the whole time if I don't have him here with us.
So, really? Okay, that's wonderful.
So he doesn't scream.
Well, it is so wonderful to have you here, and I am looking forward to you sharing with us. Let's just start from the beginning. How did you get motivated to go into politics? Talk about that.
Yeah, so I would say my initial interest in politics began my freshman year of college. So back when I was like 18 years old, which is like 12 years ago now, which is crazy to say. But I was taking my freshman government class, and we had to take this exam to find out what our political ideology was. And that's when I found out that I was a progressive. So I had to do research and like present the ideology to the class and talk about like what it means to be progressive, what are progressive values. And once I did that, I kind of just like got sucked into the rabbit hole, and I have been obsessed with it ever since.
That is wonderful. Now, tell me though, you were excited to go into it, but did you find some challenges? How did you, so to speak, step into your power? How did aside from all the difficulties you may have experienced, how did you come out of it? Talk to us about that.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned throughout this entire journey is being intentional. That is what really changed the game for me. Like, it was something that was always in the back of my mind. It was something that I always was passionate about. And it was something that no matter what was going on in my life, no matter what was occupying my career at the time, it was something that was always constant. And it was something that I always felt that I wanted to do. And I don't know, it's like I felt a calling. Like, I felt like it was what I was supposed to be doing. But, you know, nothing was going to happen until I made plans and like really saw that vision through. And so I decided like, okay, I'm going to pursue this. Like, I'm not going to just let it be something that I do as a hobby. It's not just going to be something like in the background of my life that I just, you know, tend to here and there. But I wanted to be really intentional with my desires to pursue it as a career. And that's what motivated me to go to journalism school and get my master's. And I focused in public and civic journalism, and I did my entire program on politics. So I wrote several papers. I talked about Trump's rise to fascism and compared it to Hitler's rise to fascism in Nazi Germany. Like, I got to really dive into it and just engulf myself in politics and learn as much of it as I could. And so once I made the decision to really pursue it, that's when I feel like everything started aligning for me. Like, I would meet people who would introduce me to somebody, who would introduce me to somebody, who would introduce me to somebody. And it's like, once I got intentional with myself and I was very purposeful with all my actions, I started flowing through life the way that I should. And I think that's the biggest piece, is just admitting to yourself what you want to do and then being very purposeful with all the steps that you're taking to pursue that thing.
And do you have appeared in so many media. How did you get into the media?
So when I came to this company, it was at the very beginning. It was, so my partner Z, my business partner, it was just her, and she posted a job on Indeed. So I was like the very first hire at the company. And in that time, I started on the marketing team. So I would be representing the candidates who was running for office. I would be doing their social media posts, and I would be doing their emails and their newsletters, and I would be writing their blogs. And it was just something that I was good at because of that program that I went to. And so one day when I was at, I remember this day like it was yesterday, I was at Home Goods shopping, and Z called me and she was like, you should quit your job and help me like run this business. And I was just like, what? Huh? She was like, yeah, just quit your job. Like, I think we would be good at it. I think there's something in you, like you can lead this team, you can help me build this company. And so I quit my job and I came full time. She asked me how much I wanted to be paid. I told her, and she said, you got it. I was like, okay. So I quit my job, and I was just like, okay, we're going to do this. So we spent the first year just like building the team from scratch, like hiring people, setting up the infrastructure, building payroll systems and everything, like really building this from nothing. And once we got through our first year, we were like, okay, this is working. Clearly, we've been able to hire a staff. We've been able to sustain ourselves. We're growing. And so really the next step was like letting people know what we were doing. Like, it was already something, which it shouldn't be, but it was something that was rare in the political space to have an organization that's ran by two women, let alone a Black woman. And so it was just like, we knew that if people heard about our story and if they knew what we were doing, then they would be interested in it and they would want to hear more from us. So we took a leap and we hired a PR person. Her name is Marley. She's fabulous. And now Marley works for us full time, which is funny. But we got her from a different organization and we used to like work through them. And she was the one who started like pitching me basically. So she would send my credentials around and she would like ask me different quotes. Like she would ask me, what are your thoughts on this issue? What are your thoughts on this issue? What are your thoughts on that? And then I would just give her like my ideas and my thoughts, and she would send them around to different news outlets. And that's how it really started. It started off with smaller outlets here and there. And now it's to the point where I do press like every single week. We've been in Forbes, Business Insider, Washington Post, Huffington, like stuff that I never even thought that would even be possible. Yeah. They're asking me what I think is crazy.
Yeah, I was watching I just happened to go into Newsweek, and there was my okay, wait a minute now, and your input was being sought, and it was you're very intelligent. I was just so proud of you, and so now I say, okay, any mini miny mo, if you point to that, she's in there, so let's check it out.
Yeah, I'm like a regular on Newsweek now. I'm on the debate show, so pretty much I go on there like every week or every other week to debate conservatives. So that's my first thing that I'm like a consistent contributor on, and I'm hoping to do more of that. So
yes, that is wonderful. Now let me ask you have represented. Now I want people to know, it's not easy to represent particularly big names, in the media, big media names, people like, or big candidates for in politics like Beto O'Rourke. Tell me about Beto. He didn't win, but what role did you play?
He's such a phenomenal person, and it makes me so sad that he did not.
He would have been
He would have been a fantastic governor. We ended up working on his campaign as kind of like a subcontractor from another organization. So a big part of what my organization does is on the ground, door to door, person to person campaigning. So we hire teams of people to go into neighborhoods and districts and basically knock on people's door and have conversations with them, because what we found is people who have a conversation with a representative of the campaign are 3 times more likely to vote for that person when the election comes. So out of all the things that you can do in politics, like digital, fundraising, press, all of this stuff is like an important part of the equation, but the biggest part is the field organizing. So we did a huge organizing campaign for him in Texas. We knocked 188,000 doors for Beto, which is crazy. We knocked them in Fort Worth, Texas. We knocked them in Houston. We did like another 50,000 in Houston, another 30 or 40,000 in Austin, and then like 180,000 in Tarrant County in Fort Worth, Texas. So I think total we knocked well over 200,000, maybe even 300,000 doors. But yeah, that's what we did for the campaign. And unfortunately, Texas has its issues. I think it was voter turnout that really ultimately didn't allow him to pull through. But we tried. We tried really hard.
I think that he should try again, because I think he's fine. They really should be grateful that somebody like that at least can hold some truth that people were not talking about.
Mm-hmm. He was a strong
candidate. Now, he was. Well, let me ask you, you're in politics, and what do you see going on in the political world right now? I mean, what's your take on what's going on? And tell the rest of us how to deal with it, because sometimes we just want to scream.
I want to scream. Like, I want to scream. It is very stressful to deal with on like a daily basis, and having to be, I have to know what's happening 24/7, because I might be asked about it and then I have to have an opinion on it. So it's a very interesting time. There's a lot of people that run for office who are great people. They're community organizers. They are running for the right reasons. But there are also even more people who are running who do it for the wrong reasons, ego, and, to check something off of their list. And unfortunately, that's a lot of the people that we see like in office today. So our biggest thing is just trying to vet these people. And our first year in business, maybe even our second year in business, maybe like halfway through our second year of business, we were just working with whoever we could work with, because we were we still were very strict as far as their progressive values, but the quality of the candidates, we were just trying to give everybody a chance, you know? But now we're being much more strict, and we're only working with people who are serious about running and winning. And we're only working with people who are doing it for the right reasons, who have built their platforms around issues that they can actually advocate for with their seats. So it's just a very interesting political climate. It's a lot of mess. It's a lot of corruption.
Oh my God.
Like, so much corruption, and a lot of it is ridiculousness, honestly. But we've moved on to like the issue-based nonprofit space. We do a lot of ballot initiatives, because sometimes, frankly, you just got to go around these candidates. Like, some of them, they aren't good. Some of the people who are currently representatives aren't looking to help the American people. They just aren't. So we're trying to figure out ways to advocate for the issues more directly and work with issue-based nonprofits. So we're kind of doing that now. We work with a lot of nonprofits in really all the progressive spectrum, some pro-choice nonprofits. We work with a lot of LGBTQ plus nonprofits. We work with a lot of Black-owned organizations, a lot of orgs that advocate for Black young women and girls, housing orgs. Like, we're just trying to go directly to the issue, and then still support the candidates that we can, that are going to be held accountable, because there's so many people who talk a good game when they're running, and then once they get there, they just, you know, they get sucked into the Washington whirlpool, and then they just completely abandon their values. So it's very difficult, but it's a strategy to it, and we're gonna make it work.
Yes, we certainly need people like you to make it work. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I wonder, why do people vote for people who are not, you know, don't have their best interests at heart? I don't get that. So, I mean, for you, it must be frustrating when you see that, you know, a particular individual is leading, but they really are not saying anything that will be helpful to anyone. How do you circumvent all of that?
Messaging is something that the left, that we're, you know, progressives really need to work on. Republicans are terrible people, but they're just better at messaging than we are. They will choose one specific issue, and it's usually something terrible and awful, but every Republican up and down the ballot, all across the country, in every seat, will be advocating on that issue. And they have been the ones that control the narrative. And it puts the left and the Democrats always having to be on the offense, always having to defend themselves, and always being subjected to whatever narrative the Republicans have created. And that is something that the left is going to have to do a much better job at. There are so many issues that we could be talking about, but there is really no consolidated or concise method on the left. They just kind of talk about a million things, and it's like, I understand being passionate about a lot of issues, but you have to unify on something and drive the boat. You need to choose what it is. Either we're going to create a healthcare plan, and for the next 12 months, every time we speak, we're going to talk about this plan, because the voters are the mind of a voter is not as complicated as we would like to think. Like, when you get into like the psychology of like how a voter's mind works, a lot of things that drive them are repetition. Like, they just heard something a bunch. Like, you'll hear people, and that's another thing, it's a whole nother tangent, but there are seats that can't even vote on specific issues. Like, for instance, a city council person cannot vote on Medicare for all. That's a federal bill. You are a city council person. There's nothing you can do on that. So you have to be able to create platforms for the seats that you're running for that are very specific to the power that you will have in that seat. But the Republicans, then the Republican voters don't care. Like, they will go to their city council person and elect a Republican because I don't like CRT. Like, they'll just say stuff like that, or I don't like that Obamacare. And it's like, but they've just been able to dominate the narrative. So they drive voters up and down the ballot. And that's something that we haven't been able to do as well. Or once we get there, we aren't able to deliver in a way that people want to see, because we haven't decided what is the thing that we're going to deliver on. So it's a lot.
Wow. I noticed that you have represented some some individuals who have been in the news for tragic reasons, like Aubrey. What is his name?
Ahmaud
Aubrey.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Ahmaud Aubrey's the lawyer himself, right? Or is it the family? It says Ahmaud Aubrey's family.
It
Or
was his
they're
lawyer. So we represented Lee Merritt when he was running for Attorney General of Texas.
I see. Not for that. Not for Ahmaud Aubrey's mother.
No. We didn't work with the family directly, but Lee Merritt, who was running, is a civil rights attorney, and he represents a lot of these cases, sad cases that we see with a lot of police brutality. So we were representing him, and we're trying to make his social justice work like a big part of his campaign platform. But in Texas, that don't work. Unfortunately.
I have something I want to ask you. Some of us, we have some things that we have to mull over, and it's good to know somebody in the media who's probably works to kind of help to address some of this. I'll be honest with you, I am so excited that those 6 police, was it 5 police officers were arrested quickly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh.
What are your thoughts on the effectiveness of the chief of police there, a woman? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, she did the right thing. Like, I think it was complete. They had to do, what's the word that I'm looking at? I'm having a brain fart, but they had to control that narrative quickly because they had already saw the footage before we did. So they knew just how senseless that murder was. Like, think of the force that it takes to physically beat someone to death without even weapons. Like, think of what that does. So she had already saw the footage way before we did, and she knew that it was for nothing. They pulled him over for suspicion of reckless driving. So suspicion of reckless driving. It's not even that they saw him driving recklessly. They suspected that he could have been driving recklessly. Yeah, and pulled him over. Yeah. And that led to his death. And if you watch the video, it's very infuriating because he literally was begging for his life. Truly, he was crying out for his mother. He was crying. He was begging for his life, and they continued to senselessly beat him. And they thought it was fun. Like, if you listen to what they were saying, they was like, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna do this. Da, da, da. Like, they were jumping him like it was some type of hobby, and you can tell that that's not something that they were new to. You can tell that
they had fun.
Yeah, they had fun. They were literally having fun. They was laughing afterwards. They was like, whoo, they act like they just like left the gym or something. Like, if you heard the conversation they were having afterwards, and they was like, oh my God, he did that. I got him. No, I got him. Like, they was talking about they literally just left a party or something. So but it was
what's difficult about it, Amani, for me. It's not so much of the beating. The beating is horrible, but it is that it's 5 black men saw one of their own. If we given everything that black men experience in this country, and you saw a puny black kid, and what in the world would convince you? Do you have politicians that you work with that really are doing a lot to try to address this? Because it doesn't seem, I mean, there's always a whole lot of people being shot and killed, but nothing is ever done about guns in this country. What are you getting? What sense are you getting from these politicians that things will change?
Issue. It's white supremacy. Like, it all comes from white supremacy. It all trickles down, and unfortunately for some cishet black men, they want to be as close to white supremacy as they can, because I guess they feel like if they align closely with it, like, it won't affect them. But in this particular case, these guys who did this saw that it don't matter how much you try to infiltrate the system and become a part of this institutionalized racism, it's never going to protect you anyway. So it's just, that's a whole nother conversation. But as far as the politicians, it's corruption is really where it boils down to. They're never going to intervene in anything like that until police unions stop giving money to candidates when they're running for office. Like, all of these funds or all of the money that goes through these campaigns, it's a lot of it. It's $1 billion industry campaigning. And that money isn't always coming from a clean source. There are police unions who pay candidates to run for office. There's police unions who will give a candidate $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, millions of dollars to run in these races. And when they give you that money, when they write these big checks for you, they're expecting something. And until we cleanse the election process as far as who can contribute and how much, and there are some states like I think Maine is one of them, and Colorado, in Denver, Colorado, there are some like clean election laws, but it's not something that's spread across the country. It's very rare. And until we stop allowing people to be paid off, then we're never, like, the system's never going to change. And that's the same thing with the gun violence conversation. There are so many gun manufacturers that write $1 million checks to candidates because they're like, hey, if I'm going to support your campaign, then you can't pass no regulations on guns because I'm trying to get my money back on my investment. You know, the NRA has been one of the largest funders for the Republican Party for years and years and years. And the National Rifle Association, they give millions of dollars to Republicans. So yeah, it's all on purpose that nothing is getting resolved. And it's unfortunate.
But it's unfortunate because people suffer because of it. You know, one of the things that, I'll get off politics for a second, but one of the things I find very interesting is that we are not reluctant to give a lot of money to the wealthy, but all those services and all those little things that poor people need, we want to take away. Like what's going on in Congress right now, trying to take away Social Security and Medicare and things of that nature. Can you imagine? You know what I ask? What are these elderly 96-year-olds and 100-year-olds and 80-year-olds? What exactly are we expecting them to do?
Yeah.
But what?
They don't care. It's so sad when I talk about politics sometimes, because I've literally watched the political landscape enter a sharp decline, and there is not a lot of, not to be doom and gloom, but there's not a lot of humanity left going on in Congress. And it's because the money has eroded politics so much. It's in the media. The media is supposed to be what regulates the three branches of government. The media is being paid by the same corporations that pay the government. So it's just like we're in a point in time where no one cares what's going to happen to these people, because why would I give you free healthcare when I'm being paid by CVS? CVS is putting money in my account to not give you free healthcare. So again, this all started back in the 1970s, and it's just been escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating ever since. And now we have 50 years of corruption that really is not going to change, because all of the checks and balances have been corrupted. So I don't know what is going to happen, honestly. I hope that the electorate can kind of wake up and start fighting for themselves. Because one thing about them French people, the French fight, we need to take some notes from France, because they get to marching and they just completely stop participating when things don't go their way. So there's some sort of revolution that needs to happen here over time. Of course, not a violent revolution, but something needs to happen in the minds of the American people, that these people aren't representing you, yet you keep electing them. Let's stop that.
Yes, that's certainly true. My God, we just have to wake up. Hey, listen, I'm excited. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm going to take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Amani Wells Onyioha.
African Women Mobilization Commission, Child Sponsorship Program. Here at Awmc, we believe that every child deserves a chance to thrive, no matter who they are or where they live, and that opportunities help a child to develop and build precious imagination. A healthy and imaginative mind can see the possibilities of the future, and a child with a future can weather the storms of life if given the right tools and the chance. Sponsoring a child helps a child to eat, get an education, have good health care, and gain a friend and mentor in you. I know you want to know more. Sponsor a child by visiting AfricanWomenCommission.net. After all, a child is waiting. Register to meet your sponsored child today.
Welcome back. We are talking today. Welcome to the African Women Workshop, Women Empowerment Workshop. And our guest today is the lovely Amani Wells Onyioha, my niece, if you haven't heard it already. And we're just having a good conversation about what she's doing, how she stepped into her power, and now in the position to let the rest of us know what's going on in our world in politics that we should be paying attention to. You know, just recently, Diamond of Diamond and Silk, I believe it's Diamond, way, and I had seen the interview of that you had with them. Tell us what you thought about that duo first and foremost, and then what happened.
Yeah, it was sad that she died. It was very random because when I was doing my debate with them, she was actually the nicer one. So she was nicer when we were talking, but them as a duo, it's all the same thing. I'm going to be talking about money a lot because when you are behind the scenes, it's so crazy how much you can see like these transactions really going on. So a fun fact, they started off as Democrats. Both of them were very strong Democratic advocates, and they weren't getting paid as well that way. And they figured out like there's a better, more fruitful route, and that is going to the other side and just advocating for nonsense and being those token Black women that the right can point to and be like, see, we support them. We're not racist. Look at Diamond and Silk. That was a more fruitful route for them. So that's the route that they took. And a lot of the arguments that we were having, I could tell like they weren't good faith arguments. And that's how I feel about arguing with a lot of these conservatives. Like sometimes when I'm on Newsweek, I'll be debating somebody and I can tell, oh, you're actually conservative. Like you are not arguing out of bad faith. This is what you really believe. And then there's some people who I can tell are just speaking nonsense. It's like, oh, you're doing this for a check. So you can kind of tell it. Check. And they were the check crowd.
The check crowd. I love that. But then that's what politics is. It's money, like you said earlier. If we could kind of get some of that money. But do you think that's ever going to happen? I doubt it. No. You know, I think it's so baked into the American politics right now that I just don't know how they're going to be able to take that out of there. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say, I don't know. I would love to see at least because there is a system that can exist. Like capitalism, all of this, it has its issues. But what we're existing in right now isn't even capitalism. It's crony capitalism. Like we are to the point where we are living in like monopolies, like we're in oligarchy right now. Like we are being ruled over by the wealthy class. And I don't even think that's what the initial people who put capitalism into place was even planning. Like there are no checks and balances. So if we can start regulating things again, then perhaps we can see some of this simmer down and become less obnoxious with the way that they are just betraying the American people. So I would love to see some sort of regulations go into place with capping. And it's like that in certain states, like a corporation can only give up to a certain amount in certain areas. So like the max donation you might be able to get from one party is $2,000. It's hard to corrupt somebody with $2,000. You can corrupt a lot of people with $200,000 though, you know? So absolutely. There's a lot of states where they put certain things in place and hopefully we can start seeing more of that and this can kind of simmer down a bit, but I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I've got to tell you very honestly, I personally, I think that Joe Biden is doing a good job. I don't know why everybody's on his tail and just making like he's not doing what he's supposed to do. You know, what are your thoughts about that?
You know, bless him. Bless Joe Biden. I don't think he's doing much. He's not doing much of anything, to be honest. And it's for several reasons. He had, for the first 2 years of the administration, he had two Democrats, Kirsten Sinema, who I hate. I cannot stand that woman. I wish her the worst. And the other Joe from West Virginia. I'm having a brain fart of his
Manchin.
last
Joe
name.
Manchin. Is it
Joe
Manchin?
Manchin, thank you. Yes, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema have both been torpedoing anything that he's
Everything.
attempted to get done over the past couple of years. And Biden is like a OG Politico. Like, he has been in the American political system for well over 50 years. He was the youngest senator to ever be elected in American history, and he's been here since he was like 27 years old. The man is 80. He's been doing this for quite some time. And I think Biden has this kind of fog, like these rose-colored glasses over him, because back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, there was a certain decorum that was present in American politics. Like, there was a certain way we handled things. There was more honor. You know, people did things with a bit more dignity, a bit more integrity. And I think he still tries to operate as if that is how it is, when he is literally a little fish in a Shark Tank. Like, these people aren't the politicians that you used to work across the aisles with in the 1980s and the 1990s. This is a completely different political infrastructure, and the parties operate differently. And that's probably my biggest criticism with the Democratic Party, is that they just don't fight hard enough. Like, you have somebody that is trying to throw bombs at your house and set it on fire, and they are out here with little squirt guns trying to trying to put it out with their little water toy guns. And it's like, you need
trying to take the high road.
Fire hose. You need to go get a hose. Like, this isn't this cute little, spitting on it, taking a little cup of water, trying to dash it on there. That's not going to do anything when your house is quite literally up in flames. Look around. You are sitting in fire.
It's that whole notion that we have to take the upper hand.
No,
we got.
I don't believe in that. I say when they get low, you drop to the ground and you get low with them. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, Michelle Obama said when they go low, we go high. I think they misunderstand what that means. It doesn't mean you turn the other cheek. He's saying that you go high. Perhaps going high doesn't mean that you ignore nonsense. It means that you call attention, call it out. Don't just ignore it, because anything that you ignore festers. It becomes, becomes manifest. It gets worse.
And that's what we've watched happen. Like, they've tried to placate and ignore it to the point where the Republican Party does not exist anymore. The Republican Party that we used to know, Bush, that's not this party. That is gone. And we have a full authoritarian and fascist wing of right-wingers, like, on the other side of the political spectrum. You have people who believe in democracy, and then you have people who want to they're outwardly talking about, why not have a dictator? What's wrong with dictators? At CPAC, which is their big conservative conference, it's a national conference that happens every year, they brought dictators from different countries to come speak to the Republican Party leaders here in America. So it's like, we can't keep pretending like we're having the same conversation that we had 20 years ago. This is a very different conversation. And these are very serious, serious issues. But we're still trying to pretend like, oh, we just have different opinions on the deficit. It's like, no, someone quite literally wants to lock us all away and throw away the key, and somebody else doesn't. So that's the conversations that we got to start having.
Absolutely. And one more thing that I really think is very important that we talk about, and that is the lack of empathy.
Yeah.
Lack of empathy in politics. We don't care. We don't care about hurting. Even like in the House, some congressmen and women who don't mind injuring their own, their other Congress people, and the Republican Party says nothing.
Yeah,
Marjorie Taylor Greene has been uplifted. This is a person who supported January 6th. What are your thoughts on that?
It's ridiculousness. And I feel like we're being gaslit all the time. Like, I feel like I'm watching a bad episode of The Simpsons or something. Like, it just doesn't feel like real life anymore. And I don't like how they keep trying to make us pretend that everything is normal when it's clearly not. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a psychopath. Okay. She's not mentally well or even mentally stable enough to hold higher office, let alone be in charge of all these different committees. But we're still supposed to be gaslit into believing like, oh, she's a legitimate person. She's not. None of these people are. You have George Santos, who quite literally is a criminal who is being, I have to laugh because it's crazy, who is being like indicted by the Brazilian government for fraud. And he's now a sitting American representative. Like,
Yes.
why are we doing nonsense? I don't
And then
understand.
to think about when you were a child, just think about when you were a child.
Mhm.
And let me say one thing very quickly. Your mother did a marvelous job with you. You are just
You.
absolutely insanely bright. And of course, you know your father. That's all
Mhm.
he talks about. He loves his little lady. So, but one of the things that I think is so important right now that's going on in this country is that a lot of people really truly believe that it will all work out.
It won't.
It would not work out. Your thoughts, it would not work out. Am I wrong? Talk to me about that.
No, and that's the thing. We have, and I said this at the beginning of the call, and I'm going to bring that into this part. Intentionality. Life doesn't just happen. You make life happen. Okay?
Yes.
Things don't just
Yes.
happen to you. They can, but that's not how things get resolved. And I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves as like a person in general. I'm a very decisive and intentional person, and I'm very purposeful with
Yes.
everything that I do. And I hate when people are
Mhm.
just flying by the seat of their pants, like, oh, we'll see. We'll see. And it's like, what do you mean we'll see? We're losing rights. Like in
Well,
Texas, we're losing rights. In Texas, the Texas Republicans who run this state put forth their agenda for 2023. And you know what was in there? Repealing the Voting Rights
what?
Bill of 1964. What? This is real life.
What?
You're trying to say that you're going to take away Black people's right to vote in the state of Texas? But no, let's just see what happens. Let's just see. You
Yeah,
know,
we can
they're
see what
very
because our people don't come out to vote.
exactly.
They didn't come out to vote like they should have.
Mhm.
I think what happens, unfortunately, and that's why I say step into your power. It's
Yeah.
not going to come to you. You have to be bold. Some people
Mhm.
think, well, I've got to make money so I can eat, and feed my family. And that's your focus and that's your mindset. You tend
Mhm.
to ignore and overlook some of these very critical things. I just don't understand why anybody will vote for someone who wants to take away your voting rights, or somebody who wants to take away the social security that your mother and your
Mhm.
father, great grandmother, your grandmother needs.
And you, and
I
you.
do. You have
You're
the right
paying
to be
for it every month. It's coming out of your check, and you're gonna let them take it away? What are you paying for then?
because they don't know. Because they
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if it's they don't know or they don't care. That's why I said some of them think it will resolve itself.
Yeah, a lot of people are just very like apathetic towards politics. Like they don't understand how serious it is because again, they're living in this world. Like back in the day, let's even go back to in my time, in my lifetime. I've had several presidents since I've been alive. I've had I think the first president when I was born was Clinton, then I had Bush, and then I had Obama, and I've had um, Trump, and now Biden. So
Okay.
back in the day, we could disagree politically, but like our lives as a whole were not as at risk as they are today. So
Yes.
I think that people are so comfortable being like Bush, Clinton, whatever. Like one's a Republican, one's a Democrat. One wants to do things this way, one wants to do things that way. My life isn't going to materially get weaker or worse. So what do I care? That's not the world anymore. And that's what I want them to know. This is not 2004.
No.
This is 20 years later and things are very different. And I think people should have realized that when Trump won. Because when he won, he single-handedly changed the trajectory of American politics. He basically challenged all of these institutions that we thought protected the decorum and the integrity of the office. And he flipped it on his head and said, do something. And nobody did anything. And once that happened, it was a wrap. Once people see there's no consequences, I can do whatever I want. I can be quite literally a rapist. He's a rapist. He's a racist. Okay. He's a criminal. He's been an institutional criminal for many, many years in the state of New York with his tax evasion and fraud and schemes. And that was all put out for the American people to judge. And they decided, right on. And once they did that,
Yes.
it was a wrap. Like, that was it.
And
That's when it became true.
You know what? I've got to say this to you. It's not even just in America that you see the apathy. You're Nigerian by way of your dad, obviously. And in February, there's going to be an election, and we have 3 people running, 2 elderly in their 80s, and then we have the young man in he's just 60, and he's vice president. I think is younger than that, and he's full of ideas. His name is Peter Obi. He's full of ideas, and yet you find that in spite of all the good things that he plans to bring, you still have people who fight against the goodness that he plans to be. So why do you think that is the case? Why do people support politicians who, quite frankly, are not going to do for them? Not just here. Not just here. This is an international phenomenon.
I think people are just afraid of change. I think that's really what it boils down to. And they would rather sit back and let things remain the same or let things regress than change and move forward in a major way. I think that's just a natural fear that a lot of people have, and they would rather just go with the status quo. Even if the status quo is chaos, it's what they're used to, and a lot of people don't like to do things that are uncomfortable. That's really just the plain reason why. No one likes discomfort. No one likes change, and the fact that you have to adapt, and you might have to change this belief that you've held for 50 years, or this is always the way the world has been, or this is all I know. Why should I make it any different? That's really the big thing that holds people up, is just their fear of what's on the other side of that change. And even though it can be something positive, it's something different, and it's just not what they're used to.
Okay, so now I'm going to take it away from politics a little bit and bring it to focus on the concept of stepping into your power. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to you when somebody steps into their power? And I'm going to give you a full 10 minutes to talk.
I think it just means believing that you can. I know that sounds basic, and it's like we always hear that, just believe in yourself, but it's something that is very, very true. When I first started in this business, I suffered from a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, I just felt like this isn't what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I knew it was what I was supposed to be doing, but I just couldn't believe it was happening to me. Like, I still wasn't feeling like I belonged or something. And I think that's like insecurities that we all have. Like, when you're in your quiet moments and you're like, oh my God, am I right for this? Am I ready for this? Am I prepared for this? Like, it's supposed to be happening. But the moment that you, again, I keep going back to this word intentional, because that is what runs my life, like pro-intentional. Once you become intentional with your decision making and your thinking and understanding, like, you're put in these positions because it's your destiny, it's your calling, it's where you're supposed to be. And once you start having a vision and being clear on it and accepting it, then you can step up and be comfortable in it. Like, as long as you are doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing, as long as things are moving forward in a positive way, then you already have the power. Like, I remember when I was in therapy, I've been in therapy for many years, but one time I was talking to my therapist and I had this big realization. It was like the moment that I have felt like true self-love, maybe for like the first time in my life. And I felt like I had saw God. Like, I felt like me and him were like face to face and we were having a conversation. It felt crazy. And I know that sounds insane, but it feels like a spiritual thing when you realize who you are and you step into that and start moving as that person. And even if you're not fully confident in her, you just have to be, or him or they or whoever it is, even if you're not confident in that person, you have to just start moving as if you are them. And that's why having vision is so important. And that's why being intentional with not only your actions, but your thought process is so important. Like, I was very purposeful with becoming the person that I am. And even though I still had insecurity sometimes, and even though I didn't fully believe it all the time, I started operating as if I was her. Like, I gave her a name and I started showing up as her. Like, I would dress a certain way because this is how I wanted to be perceived. I would speak a certain way. I would learn certain things. I would do things and show up in the world as this person. And that was very much so on purpose, so that when I did catch up and believe, I was already there. So I've said a lot, but that's pretty much what helped me realize, the power that I have, and stepping into it is just showing up as her every single day, even when you don't feel good, even when it feels like that person is far away. Continue to wake up and be her, and eventually it'll all catch up.
That is wonderful. I hope my listeners are paying attention to that. Have that individual, and that individual certainly is mental, right?
Mm-hmm.
You create that person. This is the person
Mm-hmm.
I want to be. And then you act as that person. And
100%.
then ultimately you become that person.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is very, very important. I have when I do some therapy work, I have individuals that come in there and they're just lumping, and they just don't know which direction to go. And then when I talk about there's nothing that you really want to know that you don't already know. You see,
Mm-hmm.
people need to understand that your past, your experiences help you, all right, to
Mm-hmm.
maneuver into new, out of new challenges. But if I say that I say that challenge helps you to build muscles,
Yeah.
so it's a
Mm-hmm.
main thing. If you believe in anything, go out and you fight for it. Believe and it shall become a reality. But there are too many people that I come across, they've given up, and they don't give up because they don't have what it takes. They give up because somebody told them, you don't have it in you. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes for those people who are parents, you need to hear this. Don't ever tell a child you don't have it in you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst thing. You don't have to spank that child. You don't have to call him or her names. You don't have to do anything to him. But when you convince him in his mind that he's not good enough and he believes it, it doesn't matter. He
Mm-hmm.
will not come out of that. So we have to be very, 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 very purposeful in some of the things that we say, particularly to young people who are still impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to take another quick break, and we're going to come back and return. Our guest today, for those of you who are just joining us, is Amani Wells Onyioha. We will be right back. Oh, I want to just share something that is very dear to Awmc. And as you go through life, and when we talk about you must not shrink into greatness, you find that you can be the cause and the reason for change in people's lives. And that's what we want to do. We want to be the cause and the reason why people become successful. I want you to look at this. These are young people in Nigeria, and some of them are in America, that we, working with Pop Solutions and Google, have been offered are being offered scholarships to become IT engineers. I want you to look at that. These are people who have goals and dreams. These are people, some of them have dreamed and dreamed and literally have given up. But then somehow we came into the scene to remind them that it's not over until it's over, to provide them with an opportunity. We are so excited to be offering these IT certificates through Google to these recipients. I have a dream, Dr. Martin Luther King says, my dream is always, and the dream of Umse is to be the cause and the reason to change, to put a smile on somebody's face. You know, sometimes you don't get money for some of the things that you do. Just the joy that you create, just the joy that you create, you see, is is more important sometimes than what you get back. So for those of you who may be interested in becoming IT engineers through Google, contact us at awmc.global for more information. You will be assigned to a regional director that will offer you guidance. We are so excited about this, and we're going to keep him. We have about 500 scholarships to give out, and that is what OMC is about. If you're wondering what we're about, we are about taking proactive action for change in the lives of women and men, children and men as well. So I'm going to bring back our guest speaker today, Amani Wells Onyioha. Amani, I want to ask you this question, and this is based on the people that you have represented. The city council woman Lauren Ryder,
Mhm.
what state did she represent?
She was in Kansas. She was in Kansas, and good thing that Kansas just did was they put abortion on the ballot, and it passed. So they passed. They put pro-abortion or pro-choice ballot initiatives on the ballot in Kansas, and they did the same thing that a lot of these other states need to do. Because let me rewind. I'm going to rewind. So when Roe v. Wade was overturned, there was a lot of states that had trigger laws, and in these
Uh-huh.
states, as soon as Roe is overturned, abortion will be flat out banned and illegal. And the only way to kind of go around those trigger laws would be to make an amendment to the state's constitution or pass a bill or a law, put that on the ballot within the election cycle, and have the citizens vote on it. And so Kansas put the bill on the ballot to see if people would vote in favor of anti-choice, and Kansas actually surprised them, a very red state, and voted no
Uh-huh.
and
We heard
protected
about that.
abortion rights. So that was
We
a
heard
really amazing victory, and I'm glad that we worked with the candidate who was running in that state when that happened. That was really cool.
Yeah. How what impact do you think women are actually having? Because we hear that women are really the ones who are fighting for to protect Roe v. Wade, but
Mhm.
amazing to me, there are some who are not for it. What are you
Yeah.
seeing in the field?
I get sad when I think of those women. There are women who are against it, but it's a whole thing. Like, a lot of this stuff is connected to these centuries long institutions like white supremacy and the patriarchy and misogyny. And a lot of these women, the white women particularly, who are pro life, as they say it, even though there are no bills that preserve life, as far as like the life of the mother or the cost of even giving birth or giving them any type of support, familial leave, aid of any kind once the babies are born. But I digress. A lot of women operate in that structure because of their husbands, and a lot of them
Mm,
are often stay-at-home mothers. A lot of them are benefiting from the system. They benefit from having, white men protect them and provide for them. So in order for them to advocate for women or themselves, they would have to, in their minds, bite the hand that feeds them, and
mm.
they choose not to. And that's really why.
Well, I also want to ask you because I thought, but believe it or not, I really thought Beto Rock would win, and the reason why
Mhm.
I thought so was because of his focus on gun laws, given
Mhm.
all the mass shootings and killings. So I
Mhm.
pretty much thought, who wants their child to go to school and die? Because Greg Abbott was not pushing for any
Mhm.
control on guns. So, what is the mentality of people who will vote for someone who would not stop that madness?
People in this country have a very unhealthy obsession with guns. It's something that if you like, there's a lot of studies on it. And first of all, America has more guns per capita than people. So we can start there. There are more guns in the United States than there are citizens of the United States, which is an astonishing fact. And people, there are entire religions based off of the worship of guns. People have shrines in their house, filled with guns and ammo. And it's one of those things, particularly in the state of Texas, unfortunately, where people are just so pro-gun to the point where it becomes illogical. They just love having access to guns. There's no other real reason. There's no logical reason to it. They don't want their right to bear arms, which isn't what they think it is. It's supposed to be a well-regulated militia, which none of these people are, but they just don't want their right to be trampled on. And because of that, they're willing to watch people get killed innocently every single day just because they want to have the right to have this shed filled with 90 semi-automatic rifles just because. Like, it's silliness, honestly.
And it doesn't even seem to matter that there's a possibility that they can become victims of gunfire. It doesn't seem to matter. One of the things that makes me very, Georgia is open carry state. One of the things that really makes me so nervous is to walk into a store and there are people walking around with guns on their, holsters, right? And where there are women and children and men just going about their businesses, and because you have a gun that sometimes is not used, sometimes they use it in a way that it's not what it's intended for. It's supposed to be to protect yourself, but if you get angry, you haul it out, and you kill. I've seen such situations. I've known such situations to happen, and yet there's no control. So that is one of the areas that really, really frightened me. Now, the person that you represented, this is another person you represented, Councilman Daniel Kalino. Where is he from?
Dan Kalino, I believe, is in North Carolina. He was one of the first candidates that we've gotten elected. So we have worked on 400 different campaigns now, which is just crazy. So many races. Wow. And Daniel was one of the very first people that we worked with. He's a young guy, wonderful man. He was in for city council in North Carolina. He won. He's one of the first people that we worked with that we helped fundraise and get enough money the old fashioned way, like doing call time, calling his local constituents and getting him enough funds to be competitive in the race. So yeah, he was a
Well, let me ask you then, if a young person today decides, hey, listen, I think I've got what it takes for me. I'm stepping into my power, so to speak. I want to know. I want to become a councilman. I want to become a senator. What would you tell them? What advice would you give somebody who wants to become a politician?
I would always tell them to have a very strong why. Because the why is what's going to get you through the process. I always like to be honest with people and say running for office is not easy. It's not something that's going to be fun. You might enjoy it in certain moments, but it's something that's very difficult, and it takes a lot of stamina. It takes a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of patience. And it's something that can become a very grueling process. So there's going to be a lot of days where you want to give up and you don't want to do it anymore. And you've called 50 people and they all told you no, or you called 50 people and they all told you they're not giving you $1. They don't believe. You have to have a very strong mindset. So the thing that you can lean on in those dark moments of the campaign is your why. What is the reason that you're doing this? And that's going to be really the little light that keeps you going. So I would say have a strong why, because the people that don't, the ones who are doing it for ego or are doing it because I just want to be a senator. That's just why I just want to be a senator. Those are the people who don't thug it out. And if they do, they're the ones that get corrupted once they get there. So have a strong why.
Yeah, have a strong why. And what if you, as a person who represents politicians, what if a politician comes to you and they want you to represent them, and you fill them out and you don't think they have your values, or they have the values that you would like to support? What do you do in a situation like that?
Yeah, I tell them straight up. So people, like, for instance, if we have had a conversation, this actually just happened the other day. So I will tell you this story. So I was talking to this man. He was running for, I think, a state Senate seat or something. And we was having a good conversation, and he was ready to sign up. He was ready to buy. And we got to the end of the call. He was like, oh, just so you know, like, I do have certain values that aren't like typically democratic values. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, what do you mean by that? what do you mean by that? Because we only work with Democrats, and we only work with people who believe the same things that we believe, especially on certain issues. And so he started going off on this tangent about drag queens and how he don't support all the alphabets. It's too many letters and all of that. I had to dead it right there. I'm like, oh my God, unfortunately, this isn't going to work. We support the alphabet, okay? We love the drag queens. Like, we're not going to be working with a candidate who is anti-LGBTQ plus. Like, it's not going to be a thing. So he was emailing me, and he was asking, oh, I never got a proposal. You're never going to get one. I'm so sorry.
I think it's unfortunate when any human being believes that they are so much more important than other human beings.
Yeah.
So we have to drag them down. We've got to pull them down. We must make sure that they don't get to anything. They don't become what they want to become because we don't like them. So just like the drag queens and the gay community and all of that, there are people who are just absolutely, they go crazy. The thought of I mean, if gay people are not bothering you, what's your concern?
And that's what I get.
What is it? I believe that people should live their lives as long as you don't interfere with mine. Cool, have at it.
My biggest opinion on that is mind your business.
Like, it's not your business.
It's not your business.
You have people who make it just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's anti everybody, anti-Jews, anti-blacks, anti-gays, I said, what is she not anti anything? I mean, she's anti-Democrats, and a lot of Democrats are Caucasians. So I don't know what she stands for.
Yeah,
just chaos. I think that, like you said, when money is the foundation of some of these politicians, then they don't care what they have to say or what they have to do. They just do it, and they run their mouths until they're satisfied, and then they satisfy the weirdos. Because they believe. What I'm concerned about? I've got to be honest with you. I don't think that this, and I could be wrong, and please God, let me be wrong. I don't think that January 6th is it.
Oh, girl, it's not. I wish. That's another thing. It's like we have to give people consequences for their actions. And we have let the political discourse become so, this is what they say, but I don't know. You tell me the truth. And that is what's going to lead us to true fascism. That's been something that I've been studying even when I was in my grad program, just America's transition to authoritarianism. And narratives are really important in allowing people to get away with January 6th or calling it a peaceful protest and not just calling it what it is. And the biggest thing that would have stopped something from this happening again is for everybody to have had a zero tolerance, cold turkey approach with it. There should have never been, let me hear their side or let me hear their side. Why did you do that? It don't matter. Period, point blank. Y'all stormed the Capitol. Y'all were there to kill people. As much as you want to say that you weren't, we heard you saying Mike Pence. We saw you with our own eyes. So once we decided that this is up for debate, it was over. And that's what we really got to work on. And that's, again, my biggest criticism with the Democrats is they want to talk and be peaceful and chit chat about everything. Some stuff, there's no chit chat. there's no chit chat.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of the difficult things is the people being so passive that they didn't take things so seriously that they say, no, we're not going to tolerate. Look at what's going on in Florida. I don't understand. Yeah. I don't get that. Yeah. This is one man telling you that your children can't learn that. I'll be honest with you. I wonder who wants to send their child to Florida to learn.
Yeah.
That's not they're learning. they can't learn about anything. Well, tell me, what are they learning?
I don't know.
No,
That's another
exactly.
thing. All of our institutions are under attack, including public education. They want to ban books, and they talk about the left being snowflakes and wanting to ban books. They want to ban books. They want to ban courses. They want to ban people's access to information because information
Yes.
is free. Education is freedom. Like wisdom is freedom. And they don't want people to have that because they are trying to push us into this authoritarian regime. That's what they're trying to do. And so,
Yes.
again, we keep letting things slide. And that's how it happens. Like, if anybody hasn't like watched the full history of like that 10-year period before the Holocaust back in the 1940s of when Hitler was like on his rise, I really implore you to do your research on that, because people always ask, how did the Holocaust happen? Like, how did everybody just wake up one day and decide we're killing all the Jews? It's not something that happened overnight. It's something that we're witnessing right before our very eyes. It's something that happens in small things. And what Hitler did is very similar to how the right is operating now. You do things, you see how people react. If they don't react, we do something else. We see how they react. If they don't react, we do something else. We say, and it just goes on and on and on and on. It's something that takes time, and it's been happening since 2016. In 3 years, we're going to be 10 years from when Trump was elected, and I guarantee you we are going to be, if not already living in full-on authoritarianism, we're going to be very close if we don't start putting these roadblocks in place. But it's very purposeful. I would really read it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes, yes, and the danger of it all is, there is a saying that when they first came for the Jews, I said nothing. And for the blacks, I said nothing. Now they've come for me, and nobody's saying anything. Nobody is safe when the leadership is authoritarian. Nobody's safe.
Literally.
And I think that anybody who believes, that they're safe because of the color of their skin or whatever their gender, the gender is, or all that, you are playing. I mean, you're wasting your time. You are playing with, what is the word I'm looking for? You're playing with danger.
Yeah.
Because it will come to your door sooner or later. Today is somebody else. Tomorrow it will be you. Look at all these people that are being killed in these schools. Do you think that people that are killing them care that they're white, purple, or green? No.
The only people who are going to be safe are going to be authoritarian, cishet white men.
That's it.
If you fall outside of that, you're not safe. And that's what people need to realize sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because I don't think we're dramatic enough. I don't think we're fighting, making any effort to say enough is enough. I think we're accepting. And of course, now let me ask you, that personally, I believe that the media has a lot to do with all of this, because the media talks about them. What about Democrats? What about, the Republicans? Well, the Democrats did it, and if the Republicans are doing it, then the Democrats are doing it. But let's be honest, the Democrats are not doing this stuff these Republicans are doing.
No, they're not.
They're not.
Yeah, the media has been corrupted too. It's really sad to see just how filthy money can make people, and how it can make these institutions. Like, if you look at who owns CNN, Fox News, all of these big major news franchises, they're usually owned by like one or two people who are very, very, very wealthy and who are taking money from the same people who are paying the politicians. There's a website called Open Secrets. If you're ever bored one day and just want to know like who's getting money from who, go type your local politician's name into Open Secrets. You will be able to see every dollar that comes into their account, and there's a lot of overlap there. And so that's really why, like, CNN was recently just bought by a right winger who supports Trump and gave millions of dollars towards his defense team when he was trying to fight the charges for being impeached and all of that. That person just bought CNN. So it all goes.
That's why CNN has changed.
Yes.
I used to watch CNN because I thought CNN was really, It changed completely. I don't even tune into CNN because,
Yep.
I mean, it's like watching Fox News as far as I'm
Literally.
concerned.
And the
Literally.
dude who bought it said, I want CNN to be more like Fox. That's what he said. Like, I want CNN to be more like Fox. I'm a right winger. I love Trump. I've given him millions of dollars. And this is what I want CNN to be now. And so it is. And so it's just, there's no real people who are doing honest journalism anymore. Nobody's covering things from a clear perspective. And that's why the electorate becomes so apathetic, because it's like, how much longer do you want people to be participants in something like this? Like, you're gaslighting us. We're all not dumb. You know, this old saying, like, you're feeding me crap and calling it sugar. People can
Yes.
only take so much of that, so they disengage. And that's what they want. They want people to disengage so it'll be easier to take over. So again, it's all very purposeful, very,
Yes.
very purposeful.
If you take a person's means of income, he will
Mm,
spend time fighting to get income back. And once they are focused, once they're in poverty,
mm,
they don't have the time to look on at what's going on around them. They become terribly susceptible to whatever is going on. They don't care. I was watching a video just recently of some of the most uh, burnt out cities
mm,
in America. And if you go to the internet and you see America's ghettos, it
mhm,
will blow your mind
mhm.
what America allows to happen to people who are impoverished.
Yep. They
It
hate
is
for
amazing. Now, we
it.
give money to foreign nations and all of that, that seems to be okay. Many people accept that. But we
Mhm,
don't accept just 1/10 of some of the money that we give away. If you just use that in some of America's ghettos, you will uplift people, you will uplift the communities. But they
mhm,
are so desolate, so people live in such despondent
mhm.
conditions, and we're watching it. And
Yep.
yet we have the audacity to say America is the melting pot of everything, and is we're the land of honey and all that. Well,
Mhm.
to some degree, for the rich it is, but for a lot of
Yeah.
people who are struggling,
Yeah.
it is
Not
very
anymore.
difficult. Well,
Mhm,
listen, my darling, I want to ask you to give us your last thought before
mhm.
we end the program. Share your last thought.
My last thoughts are just be intentional. I've said that 90 times, but I just want to say it again because that is really the key to stepping into your power and changing your life. So be intentional, believe in yourself, as cliche as it is. You know, nobody's going to believe in you until you believe in you, and just show up as the person that you want to be, and eventually you will become them.
Excellent. And I want you to stay after the show because I want to say a word to you. Ladies and gentlemen, you can admit that it has been absolutely wonderful to have Amani Wells Onyioha as my guest today. And I'll be sure to return her to this show. She has done a tremendous job sharing with you what it takes to step into your power. Now it's up to you. Whatever you heard today, add to your repertoire. Perhaps you're already a powerful soul, and we hope that is the case. But if you're still trying to go through it, if you're still trying to go through life, just remember nobody can do it. There's nothing that you want that you cannot have, nothing that exists that's too good for you. You are a sacred human being. You are all that and a bag of chips. Just remember that and tell yourself that, and you'll be amazed how successful you'll be in life. Let me thank all of you who joined us today. I want to thank uh, some of the individuals that have shared thoughts my interacting up right now. Thank Ukuna Charles Ugochukwu. Thank you so very much. Your dad, who's very proud. I don't know if you have been reading. He's just been complimenting your effort here today.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Cherry. Please do comments and joining us. Ukuna Ugochukwu, I've already said that. Want to thank Akimi Bro, your brother, Riomba Adao, Di Charles, and so on and so forth. I can't name everybody, but One Piece Speed, Ikenga Thoughts, all of you who have joined us today, it has been just absolutely wonderful to have you here today. Continue to join us as Awmc continues to educate, inspire on Awmc women's empowerment workshops. Thank you all, and I pray that you have a marvelous, marvelous day. Thank you so very much. I'm telling you, you're a powerhouse. The world should look out because here comes Amani. Thank you.
Thank you.